Yeah, man, I got out, and that was the thing, is I didn't fully get out because like once I was out of active after, because I came back from deployment, fucked up. All of us did. So my drinking was out of control, bro. Like that was the only thing, because that's the only thing you can do in the army. You can't smoke, you can't do drugs, you can't do anything else. So the only thing you can do is drink. So me and my homie Danny, shout out my brother Danny, drank excessively. We're going through like 2 bottles of Hennessy in a week, if not more.
Wait, this is when you got home.
When I got back from Afghanistan, yeah. So like we're still in the army drinking heavily, bro. Like we'd be so fucked up till like 3 a.m, wake up at 6 and go run 10 miles.
Why? Just to numb things out?
Yeah, because we had no idea how to deal with the shit that happened. We had no idea how to talk to each other about it. We definitely didn't know how to talk to somebody else. And when you come back from deployment, you're supposed to do a psych exam. But that's the thing. If you tell them something's wrong, they will kick you out, or they will figure out a way to like get you in trouble for it.
Is that why people are just like...
That's why they don't talk about it.
Yeah,
because it's like if you talk about it, they see something's wrong with you.
damn, that's kind of fucked up.
There's a correlation between suicides and veterans.
It's bad. It's
Yeah.
It used to. I don't know if it's still, but it used to be 22 a day.
22 a
Or
day?
No, that might be wrong. 20. It
That's
might
a
be
lot.
22 a week
I don't
or a
know, but
month.
there's a correlation.
I gotta look it up. My stats are wrong. I'm so sorry. I should know this, but
Regardless, that's still a lot.
yeah,
Damn.
it was bad. But yeah. So it was like I was just drinking heavily. So by the time I got out, like I cut back a little bit, but it wasn't really enough to make a difference. Like I came home and I was still like not in a great.
So when
mental
you were
way.
drinking and doing all that, like, did you feel like things were better?
No,
Did you feel better, or was it just...
No, it
you're
was just
numbing
every
it?
time I felt bad, I was like, okay, cool, let's take a shot. I'm starting to feel sad, or I'm starting to remember something. Like, dude, Danny and what was dope is like Danny and I connected really well from the beginning. Like I said, shout out my homie Danny. He's one of my favorite people in the world. He was actually from the Bay, so that's how we met. We connected. I was like, oh man, all my family's from the Bay, man. I'm in the Bay all the time. Exactly. Hey, and so him and I were, we got really, really close together in Afghanistan. Then when we came back, we actually ended up rooming together in the barracks. And so, he'd wake up at 2 a.m. He'd have a flashback or something like that. He'd wake me up, be like, yo, let's drink. I'm like, say less. I'd wake up, I'd have a flashback.
Hey, you just wake up and start drinking?
Bro, and then we'd be fucked up going on runs in the morning.
Bruh.
We'd go on company runs that took, 10, 11 miles. We'd throw up every couple miles and just push through. That's how
long ago was this?
That was 2014.
So 10 years ago.
God damn.
I don't know why when people mention years, I don't know why my brain automatically classifies. It goes into like what years certain albums came out. So like that's how I classify time periods in my head.
That's a good way to do it.
Like 2014 was like fucking Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole shit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I was listening to that shit.
I think it just goes straight to like, what were you into during that time?
Yeah. I mean,
So it's
yeah, because
don't save her. I don't want to be.
Nothing Was the Same came out, what, end of 2013? Beginning of 14?
I
Something
think
like
that
that.
was 2012.
Was it? See, that's my thing. My album, like, time reference.
yeah, I have no idea when
okay.
albums come out.
I could win a fucking hip hop trivia song. It's a weird talent I have.
True, it is. But yeah, yeah, man. And then like once I got home, I was with my family, but I fell into like a really bad spot. I thought that the only way to stay this like strong, aggressive, like violent person was to, do violent shit. So my ass was like, okay, I know people in gangs. Like I know people that trap. Let me hit up my boys. Like,
Super aggro, man.
I know. That's the headspace I was in, man. So like I knew I was gonna go to school. I knew I wanted to do that because that's what I got out of active for. I was like, okay, like I don't want to sit here and push myself through more of this because I could be using, the stability that I have to go back to school. Like the military gave me stability in the sense of like finances. It taught me how to be responsible with my finances. So I was like, okay, I'm in a stable place. I want to maintain that stable place. Let me go to school because, I'm still thinking that as a kid, that's all you're supposed to do is just go to school.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of us
Right.
like taught that
Yeah,
way.
I mean, we all have
Oh,
our
you
degrees. We all
need to
we
go
all
to
did the same
college,
shit. Right.
get a good job,
Yeah.
and then have a family. You know
Yeah.
how it goes.
But I was in this in between where I was like, it's hard to transition, man. It's hard to leave that life with nothing. No one preps you for it. They give you like these.
Is it like after?
Right. They give you these bullshit classes when you get out that don't do anything. They're like, oh, you can find a job here. You can go be a trucker here, but they don't tell you how to like go back to being a normal person. They don't give you the tools to be able to do that. So you have all these veterans that have, especially in the last, think about the last 20, 30 years. Well, the last 20,
they're like
23
not
years.
properly reintegrated back into society.
Right. You have all these people who have just been war. It's just been war nonstop.
What Alex is trying to say is that when you get back from doing service, is you're not in a civilian mindset. You're a soldier.
Still.
So them not having time or not being properly reintegrated, it leaves like a lot of awkward energy, and you know, like not everyone knows how to deal with that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I mean, I've known you for like what, a couple years now? Probably 2-3 years, maybe.
No, I thought I've been 21. So
maybe
about
3 years. Yeah. Because I do notice that from you though, like you get easily triggered, but I don't take it personally, just because I was like, oh, it's probably the PTSD or whatever.
Yeah, and it's gotten better.
I mean, that's probably, I don't know, like a wrong perspective, but it's like
yeah, I know. And what's crazy is that like what you guys see as like easy triggers now used to have been.
It's probably a lot worse back in the day.
You would have been like an easy trigger here. It used to be a hairpin trigger. So I got back. I was fighting nonstop. I got 86 from Brew Bros for getting in fights. I got arrested downtown for fighting somebody in the street. Yeah, man, like I was bad, like I said, and like I knew, like I said, I had that responsibility and I knew what I wanted to do, but there was part of me that couldn't let go of like figuring out how to stay. I don't know, man, like in that weird, crazy mindset. So I was like, okay, like I said, I was like, I know people at Trap. Let me go hit them up. I knew that I had a good enough life setup where I didn't want to get like overly involved in stuff, like overly involved in criminal activity that I couldn't get myself out of. So I was like, okay, like I don't want to get, I mean, I'm not going to indict myself or incriminate myself in any way. I didn't want to get involved in certain aspects of that life.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just like play on this outside. So I was
in that gray area.
Right. So I was doing, you know, pickups. I'm just going to call them pickups. And like, it wasn't any
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. I was doing Uber Eats. There we go.
Foreplay.
Terrible. And there were a couple times, man, where I walked into some violent shit, man. Like, it's crazy because like a lot of people in Reno are like, oh, Reno's not that bad. Like Reno doesn't have y'all don't realize how many gangs are actually in Reno.
Yeah, I'm kind of oblivious to that.
Yeah, and how many like
really
small turf wars? Yeah, and how many small turf wars happen because of it. And
I mean, I see it. It just doesn't hit me as hard because
we're not in it.
No, but I grew up in California where it was way more obvious.
The Bay is way worse.
The Bay is different, dude. Like you see shit, but
out here people are a little bit more under the radar about it. And I think because Reno's so like spread out, it's easier to get away with shit. But yeah, man, I remember there was one situation I remember I walked into and I was like, why am I doing this, man? Like, why am I in this environment? Yes, it makes me feel hard. Yes, it gives me that
rush
validation I thought I needed from like being like keeping that you know, violent aspect of myself. But I was like, this is stupid, man. Like I am risking everything right now. All this shit that I've worked my ass off to get for what? I don't need to be doing this shit. I'll go work at McDonald's. If it's really hard for me to make money, I will go work at McDonald's. I will figure it out. This is not what I need. And that's another part where that perseverance in my life kind of clicked on. It was like, I've been through all this turmoil. Am I going to let that control my life? Am I going to continue to let that serve that part of myself that isn't serving me?
Yeah.
Am I going to continue to give it energy for what? What's the point? And so that's when I was like, okay, man, you're about to start going to school. Remove yourself, move back in with your parents. Because, you know, if I would have lived with myself, it would have been wild. Once you're a bachelor and you're living by yourself, you get into some stupid shit. Like, especially if you have roommates that egg you on. He don't. But I'm saying like my past roommates used to. So I was like, okay, let me move in with my parents. Like, at least I'll have people I know. I can pay them a little bit here and there with what I make, and I'm going to school. I can figure that out. So that's when my responsibility kicked back in. Okay, you have discipline, you have responsibility. Take it. Take everything that you learned and go apply it. You get to go to school for free. Take it.
During this time, were you still drinking a lot?
Yeah, because I was dealing with all the stuff of traveling.
So you were still,
you know?
you were still doing it.
Right, and it's crazy because like a lot of people when they talk to me, they're like, oh, like you don't seem uneducated. You don't seem like you're, you know, a thug, but like, I don't let that shit drive who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to always make sure I didn't. Because, dude, a lot of people in the army, especially in the army, are aggro, man, like over the top.
Yeah.
Like when dudes get aggro, like overly aggro, it makes me uncomfortable now. Like I think about like when I was a kid, and, you know, like you're 20 years old, you're all like,
You're
yeah,
stupid.
right,
Yeah.
you're just dumb. But now when I look at it, I'm like, man, I used to look like that. That makes me feel weird.
No, it's true. It comes a point in every man's life where you stop thinking like a little kid. But
Right.
unfortunately for us, it happens way later. I feel like
Yeah.
for girls, their brain matures way
Yeah,
earlier. than
women
we
mature
do.
at a way quicker age. than
I'm
we
talking about especially in our 20s.
Mhm.
That's where the separation is. You know what I
do.
mean?